What is going on, everybody? Well, with all the stuff going on in baseball, if that makes you a little nervous, we got PGA for you still. We got a nice week coming up right before we got the PGA Championship coming up. We did a video yesterday with our first look. Sheets and I have sort of fine-tuned a little bit. I'm going to allow him to share his screen, and we're going to talk through some of the plays we like. And yeah, we're going to go through it. Sheets, any first thoughts on this course slate? To me, what jumped out, I guess I'll start real quick, is that there's going to be, I think, more spread out ownership. That's probably going to harness a little bit closer as we get closer to lock. But I think it's going to be lower ownership than we've seen in a while, or more spread out ownership than we've seen pretty much all year on tour.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing, not exactly what I was expecting to do, but what I ended up doing was, again, I made a little sort of my own projections. I aggregated something, whatever. And there are like a lot of guys that were really cheap that just rated pretty well that were going to be low owned. So what I did was I picked out like my top, 12 or 14 guys that kind of fit that bill, like guys that have okay projections that just literally were under 5%. And I just scripted, I only have 20 lineups, 24 lineups, but I'm having like between 10 and 15% of all of them. And what I ended up doing then is I just kind of ran it and saw what it looked like. And I'm going to tweak it a little bit more after that. And I'm ending up pretty concentrated on a couple of guys kind of not near the top, but I guess near the top. And I spread out kind of these like kind of dart throws. And that's just kind of where I'm going to be. So I'll go over who those guys are. Some of the guys that we talked about already, and some of them maybe we didn't.
Well, let's go through it. Let's bring up your screen and let's talk through some of the things. I mean, first, like the thing that stood out to me a little bit also, just when I was building, actually, I noticed that, first of all, you can sort of do a lot of what you want because there are enough of these cheap guys that are just more than willing to take shots on.
Right.
But I've actually got some high ownership on some of these guys who are like that, and I think that they're really, really strong plays in this format without the cut, especially. So I'm looking for guys who are gunners who can go out there and put up a big score for me, even if they're going to be a little bit high variance.
Yeah. So the guys that I'm interested in are, I'll just throw some names. I just scrolling through my lineups here. Is I am playing 10% of Phil Mickelson. I'm going one of the dart throws is going to be Tom Lewis, Joel Damon, who may not be as much of a dart throw. I mean, people have played him before. But some of these guys, like no one's played before. Matt Jones, I'm playing him. That one's a little bit too chalky with the Chase Reavie. But Brandt Snedeker, we talked about, and I'm definitely playing a decent amount of him. Kokrak, I'm playing like 10% of him. I guess the one that, and maybe he's not going to be that off the board, but the Bezuidenhout, who I talked about in the previous. I'm going to play a full 20% of my lineups with him. Ryan Palmer. And those are basically, and Shane Lowry. So those are basically the guys that are going to be my kind of like hoping that one or two of them decide to do something. And you'll see the rest. I have 58% McIlroy, you know what I mean? 58% Thomas. Nothing really just too crazy. 58% Xander, Schauffele. So these aren't going to just knock the cover off anybody. But look, I'm risking the fact that I have I'll have no, what's his name? Guy with the roid rage.
Kaka?
No, DeChambeau. Right, DeChambeau. And no Koepka, by the way. I ended up going 0 Koepka and Johnson. Everybody else can get cute with them. They can. I'll play them in the PGA Championship next week. But that's kind of where I'm at. I upped my exposure on McIlroy because I not trusted you. You kind of convinced me a little more about him. And as I said, I thought those top 4 guys were very, very similar. So I wanted to make sure I had most of them, but I just decided that DeChambeau was going to be the guy that just didn't quite make it. And you'll see I have 38% of Kuchar, who we talked about, who I liked a lot also. And it's a no-cut event. It's going to be kind of a fun one to watch, and I'll have something to sweat all weekend.
Yeah, I like a lot of that. I'm okay with Kuchar. I prefer a couple other players in this price range. We can go real quickly, just by tiers. If you want to take a quick look, you sort of explain.
Yeah, let's talk about it. But also, I did end up going to. I was worried about the Patrick Reed ownership, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought. So I'm playing a decent amount of him too.
Yeah, I have a bunch of guys in the same range, but I'm really mostly using like a lot of the same like 15 golfers basically throughout things, and then I'm mixing in some guys like you are.
All right, so let's hear it. Who's like your core then? We're going to be in different pages because I have zero Burger. So let's see.
You're who? Burger?
Yeah.
I've got 30. I've got Burger written in around 30%. I've also got Paul Casey, Sung JM, Byung Hyun On, all in the same range. And those are all about 30+% guys for me, as is Koepka, Schauffele, Fleetwood, and Rory, and Hideki. That's basically the majority of my lineups are going to have at least 3 of those guys probably.
Schauffele is going to be. I'm just very nervous that he becomes so chalky. I have so much of him.
I mean, what is so chalk though? Like, we're talking about like very, very, very small percentage points between other guys we like, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. That's my point. I think that he's going to end up. I think he's going to just end up you know, I went over this last week. Like last week, I just had this weird feeling that Schauffele was going to be just higher owned than everybody thought, and he was. He's just a guy that people just like to play.
Right.
And I think that he might be the guy that says, "Wow, he was really like 28% owned or something like that." Could be. That would be my guess. And if that's the case, I'm like, why don't I have more Webb Simpson? That might be my regret that I might, you know, maybe I'll fix that before lineups lock. How about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably that's an interesting one. I mean, I'm okay with, like, I like all the guys at the higher end. So again, I'm mixing in a bunch of these lower tier guys. But at the very high end, just going, you know, in terms of price, I do obviously prefer Rory's my number 1 over 10K. My second highest owned is Rahm. In the 9K range, Schauffele, Morikawa, and Berger I have a lot of interest in. And I'm good with Hatton too. I just like those guys a little bit better. Brooks Koepka, I have a ton of. I'm literally just going to have a ton of them.
Really?
Go even more higher, yeah. I think he's going to be popular more than they think. But if he stays under 10%, I'm just going to load up. He might be in almost all of my lineups. Hideki, I have a similar feeling. So that's sort of where I'm going. I'm sort of getting away a little bit from Finau and Fitzpatrick, which so be it. There's a lot of good golfers out there, sort of fading a little bit more of the answer price range, preferring to pay up for Fleetwood or even a little bit of Reed. I'm okay with.
Do you have any decent amount of Sergio or no?
No, but I like him. Like you have to draw the line somewhere, you know?
Yeah, he's my last guy cut.
I like him in this kind of field too, and it's a little bit of a shame not to play him. I feel that way about Spieth actually, like in terms of just, well, less so about Spieth than I do about Sergio, but still, I feel like, you know, it certainly wouldn't surprise me if he's in the top 15 and he's not priced like that. Matt Wolff, Paul Casey. Paul Casey's one of the big ones that I have a ton of ownership in. He's just too cheap. I like Matt Wolff a little bit. I'll probably be maybe a little bit ahead of the field on him. Be a little bit ahead of the field on Poulter. Just sort of going all the way down. And then Hadwin is my other big guy. But that's and Danny Willett. Those are my highest owned players.
You have any Bubba Watson at 7,100 or no?
So I get it. I'm just not personally. I'm preferring to play Danny Willett over Bubba Watson.
See, I don't get it. In other words, I can't think of any reason why I want to play him, and yet for whatever reason, I think I kind of want to play him. I mean, there's just literally no reason to.
He could probably put up a good number, like just because it's like a good, like, you know, he'll probably make a bunch of bogeys and have to play aggressive. Like, I don't know. I would rather play Kisner or Roulette, who are right near him.
And don't forget also, like, you have.
Oh, and Michael Thompson too. I mean, look, I know it's whatever. Just play. If the guy who just won is not going to be owned at all while he's playing good golf, just take a shot on him. Take a shot. Come on.
Yeah, now don't forget also, like, when you have guys that are not, you know, that let's just say they're not going to miss the cut, but let's just say they de facto miss the cut. Like these guys that might end up being like, you know, 8 over after the first 2 days or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You want guys that don't that kind of don't give a crap in a way, because like if you're not going to get like, you know, T20 or T32, you're not going to get points for that. You'd want to trade. I don't know. You kind of want them to go for shots. You know what I mean? Because a bogey's not going to hurt you as much as an eagle, for example, or a birdie will help you, I suppose.
Right.
So I don't know. It turned out to be a much weirder slate than I thought it was going to be. But Snedeker at 6,400, I kind of like him. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm into Snedeker. I prefer you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
I
so.
really, really like these guys bouncing back on and in. Um, Morikawa. They just have been all, I know they're all Asian guys, but that's not why I'm saying it. But I do think that there is something with the Snedeker play that I think I might want to get myself some more Snedeker. Maybe go with both those guys, he and on down in the low end, and then I can sort of pay up for a few spots. That's actually a great way to build. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of why I have. How many people are going to have Nick Taylor and Snedeker in the same one? Yeah, well, this is how I get like Rory and JT and Patrick Reed, I guess.
Yeah.
So what were you saying? What do you think about what type of build?
Just paying all the way down for like Snedeker and on.
Sounds good to me.
One medium guy, and then you could pay up for 3 guys if you want to, or 2 medium guys and pay all the way up. There's a lot of things you could do if you played a low thing like that. I think that's sort of the route that I'm leaning on taking. Sort of like you talked about at the beginning, sort of like we've been talking about rotating those lower tier guys. But I actually like guys like Snedeker and on more than I liked. I have more conviction playing them down there than I did the other guys at 60 whatever.
Do you like Wallace though, or not so much?
Yeah.
So Wallace then, since I have too much of, and I'll remember to do this later, but I have to get more Ann. So I'm definitely going to get more of Ann instead of him. Okay. And I'll screw around with this a little bit more later. But yeah, this is not usually my thing, doing the stars and scrubs type thing. But I usually like to play all these 9Ks and 9,200 and screw the top guys. But that's just not what I did this time.
But you certainly could go that route too this week. I mean, there are some good guys in that range. Fleetwood, I mentioned, we talked about Reed, and I just don't feel like building all that route because I do think you're going to see there's a lot of good golfers that are really, really cheap because of the quality of the field that wouldn't, Joaquin Niemann is another one at 7,400 that you can see making a run. Scotty Scheffler, Shane Lowry, just guys, Chez Reavie. There's some guys down here that you just it would not surprise you at all if these guys are right in the hunt for the top 10. Wiesberger, even after like another guy who stood out to me early in the week. There's just a lot of guys who I could see making a run. Cam Smith down to be a low owned after having his best weekend tour forever. Tyler Duncan has been incredibly consistent on even tougher and non-tough courses so far, like except for one. I mean, I think he had one miscut. That's it. There's just a lot of guys down there that you could take shots on, but I do have more conviction in the guys that I'm using. Snedeker and On being the big ones. But then again, you could always just jump up and play Danny Willett and Adam Hadwin. And I like those guys a ton as well.
All right. I guess we're
all right.
So we have some fun. Let's have some fun.
Who's gonna win it?
So first of all, the one thing I got literally one thing right last week. I had the guy under 8K to make the top 10. That was Charles Howell. That was the one thing I got right when we did our kind of things at the end there.
Right.
So what do you want to do? I forgot what we said. Let's pull up the menu.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the best play in each range real quick, and then we're going to talk about the winner. Instead of doing it the other way. You know what I mean? The other way is find the top 10 and all this, but how about we just find, okay, who's going to finish? No, we can do top 10 or top 20 if you want to. Your call.
And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it once again. We're going to do who's going to make the top 10 under 8K.
Okay, so who's going to do the top 10 under 8K? I'm going to say, I'll just be out there since I've been playing them. I'm just going to go with On, way down there.
You could have ended up getting him because he was going to be under 7K for top 20. So, okay.
Oh, so, no, in that case, I'll take Casey.
Okay, I am going to go with Kuchar.
I like it. It's a good one.
I'm going to go with Kuchar. So now let's go down to under 7K. So under 7, we got an under 7K to make top 20.
All right, under 7K.
You're going to go On, you think?
Yeah, it's on. It's on for me.
All right, and I'm going to go Bezuidenhout.
I actually have some Bezuidenhout too. All right, who wins the tournament, Sheets?
The winner of the tournament is Patrick Reed.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to I really want to say something more off the board than just saying Rory.
No, you're dude. You could.
I'm going to say Tommy.
You can win. I mean, it's allowed.
I'm going to say Tommy Fleetwood bounces back.
There we go.
Actually, it's hard because I'm picking him to win next week. So, what are you going to do?
So this is what's happening now. See, we didn't know going in. So what we did was, so you have Fleetwood against my Reed, and I've got all those things. We're betting like $1 on each of them. So, we got all kinds of action for next week.
Yeah, and by the way, drop your hot takes in chat. We want to hear who you guys like this week.
Sounds good.
On Twitter.
Maybe a Bobby poll is coming.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there will be one. Guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. For Sheets, I'm Bobby saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards, and good luck this weekend.
All right, have good.